Who is more important to their team right now? Upcoming this fall, is it Nico Iamaleava or is it Dalton Knecht as they dart into the Sweet 16? Who's most important to their team? This should always be basketball, Caleb. By the way, the poll question, should Rick Barnes get a lifetime contract with a win and Elite Eight? 55% said yes, can't get any better. 45% say no, got to get younger. Sometimes we're replacing that right now with who's more important to their team. And you can vote on the YouTube page. We'll get Caleb's take. And that is Dalton Knecht to the basketball Vols or Nico Iamaleava to the football Vols this fall. What say you, Caleb?
You're right. On principle, it's always basketball. However, when you have a generational quarterback in an offense that's geared specifically around the quarterback, I think all of a sudden Nico Iamaleava is going to take the cake because Nico Iamaleava is generational and will be one who leads Tennessee to a couple of championships. Maybe not a couple, but he'll lead them. He'll lead them to one. And I'm pretty sure if you have me bet right now, who's more likely to win a national title, Tennessee right now in the Sweet 16 or the football team, I'd put my money on the football team still right now. And so it's Nico. The game has changed. And Dave, just to expand this a little bit, let's take NBA versus NFL. Historically, we always said the NBA star was more powerful, was more valuable than the NFL star, right?
Yes, you would. I mean, I love Joe Montana, but you would rather have Michael Jordan because it's a 5-on-5 game instead of 11-on-11 that don't really face each other.
Right. However, with Andy Reid's quarterback-centric system and the rare talent of Patrick Mahomes, I think Patrick Mahomes is the first quarterback that could actually compete with NBA superstars in terms of value to his team ever. And so I think that I
don't hate that.
Yeah.
But you would say that above Brady? And do you believe Nico can really be that in college? That's a pretty big leap you're making.
Yes, I do. If you have the right system, you do. I mean, we've already seen this happen. Let me ask you this, Dave. Who's a college basketball player that was more valuable to his team than Cam Newton was to Auburn in 2010?
Well, there's nobody. That's definitely the one in a million.
He literally put a football team on his back and won a national title by himself.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Tennessee, what did they do last year in the tournament and basketball? Wrap up their season for me.
They literally did exactly what they've done this year without Dalton Knecht. They made the Sweet 16, and they didn't even have Zakai Ziegler on that team.
Okay. Two arguments. One, they're doing the same thing, so he's not that important. We both know that argument's stupid because Vescovi has struggled, correct? I mean, this is not the same team that they had last year. Every team's different. Strongest argument might be, I got to see. How could I argue against you if they don't at least win a Sweet 16 game? I mean, if they go to the Elite Eight, I'm going to tell you right now, because that's history making. It's only happened one other time in the history of the program. I'm going to tell you that Tennessee is every bit as dependent on Dalton Knecht, especially if they go even further, as the Vols will be this season with Nico. Don't forget this too. Nico may be more valuable because he may know more of the playbook in 2025 and 26 if he's around, because he's gotten to know the offense better. Dalton Knecht is a mature player. He has a feel for this offense. He knows what this offense is all about, Caleb.
So let me pose a question for you. And you have to engage in my hypotheticals first before we get here. So my hypotheticals will drive you crazy, but there's a few. You have to either get rid of Dalton Knecht right now for the rest of the tournament, or get rid of Nico for the 2024 season. And you can't caveat it with football's more important than basketball. Pretend that they're equally important sports, which we know they aren't. Football's more important, but pretend they're equally important sports for the sake of this argument. You have to get rid of either Nico for the 2024 season or Dalton Knecht right now. Which one do you think would be more devastating to which team?
I think Tennessee could still win in different ways in basketball. I don't think they could at football. I mean, not at a high level. I guess Zach Merklinger would step in there and we'd find out what he's able to. Jake Merklinger, Zach's his younger brother, twice removed.
Zach Mettenberger.
Right. Jake Merklinger, I guess we'd see what he could do, but how far of a drop off is he? If you just looked at ratings, he's not that far. He's a 4-star. The other guys are 5 stars. Yeah, that's no big deal. But Travis says, I'm not giving up DK. So I think there's at least an argument to be made there, but I believe the fall off would be significant from Nico to Merklinger. So, well, I wouldn't do that.
I agree. The fall off would be significant, mostly to me because of how great I think Nico's going to be. Like, I think he's going to be incredibly good. And
if you think he's going to be Hendon Hooker or better, then
I think it'll be better.
Right. If you, I was talking rhetorically, but if you, as a listener right now, to me and Caleb, think that he's going to be as good as Hooker or better, then you've got to say, I would give up Dalton Knecht in the Sweet 16 to have Nico Iamaleava for the entire 2024 run. This is as hypothetical as it could get, but if I had to pick between one or two, with a championship much more in grasp in basketball than football, I'd still take football. I'd take Nico. And it's really not even that close in my mind. Maybe I'm off kilter here.
I take Nico too. I mean, let's just go to the NFL real quick, or to the pros. Would you take Patrick Mahomes or Nikola Jokic? Nikola Jokic is the best player in basketball right now, bar none. There's no close second. But
boring to watch, but just
boring to watch. But
he's playing chess. Everybody else is playing checkers. General Nealon says DK had 13 points the other night. That's what average players put up. Give me Nico. I would really be interested to see, and maybe we'll reach out to our friends at BetUS, what Tennessee's odds would be if they didn't have Dalton Knecht. You want to shoot our guy Nelson at BetUS? Would he be able to figure that for us? How would Tennessee's odds be affected? How greatly do you think they would be affected if Dalton Knecht was involved in some sort of John Higgins academic issue in which he couldn't play moving forward?
Oh, I think that would tank the rods at that point. I don't think that would have tanked them as futures at the beginning of the season had they played all year without Dalton Knecht, but I think it would tank them now because they're totally built. They've totally adjusted their team around Dalton Knecht. I mean, Rick Barnes literally switched his offensive scheme this offseason to Dalton Knecht. Less screening, more high-low motion offense, not as much of the flex. I mean, you don't do that if you don't have Dalton Knecht on the team.
Yep. City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. 50 years in East Tennessee. Integrity matters. Don't trust a fly-by-night HVAC company to tell you that you need a new unit that could cost thousands or more. cityheatandair.com. cityheatandair.com. The question is, who could do better at the other's job?
What?
How good?
Honestly,
Nico talked a lot about volleyball and how much he loves volleyball. Can the guy just not dribble? Because why in the world is he not? To me, he looks like he would be like a T. Higgins type on the basketball.
Yeah, but handles is so underrated in basketball. It's the most. It's a matter of fact. In the Michael Jordan LeBron debate, when everybody's like, look, they bring up every stat possible, the most underrated stat that makes Michael Jordan the better player. Michael Jordan never turned the ball over for a guy who had the ball that much. He's the only player in NBA history to have a usage rate that high and have less than 3 turnovers per game.
Okay, so Travis says, so you'd throw the tournament to keep an unproven quarterback. I don't think he's unproven, Travis. That's where you and I are so different. That's why I told you last year that Joe Milton had some shortcomings that Nico Iamaleava did not have. To me, he's proven. He's done enough. He did enough to me by mid-October last year in practice from the people I talked to. So to me, we're having two different conversations. I don't think he's unproven at all. I mean, he's not. You can say he's not proven in games, but he did play well when he was in the Citrus Bowl, and he'll continue to play well. I have no question in my mind. If I had even a 20% question, which I often do, but I hate to tell you, I'm as tied in as I've ever been, and he's going to be really, really good. He's not going to be kind of good.
Yeah, it's funny because we had Heath Schuler on yesterday, and I've been like that with Nico, like that scene in Too Fast, Too Furious where Tyrese ties the brick to the pedal and just has it go. Like, and Heath Schuler is desperately trying to like get me to hit the brakes a little bit, and I'm like, no, I'm not pumping the brakes on this guy. I'm like, I am all in and that high on him, and I think you're with me on that, Dave, right?
Travis,
Where
yes, we are talking. We're talking about practice. Yes, we're talking about practice, but we're talking about scrimmage situations, and it's proved itself out. And the one opportunity that I have to point to a game, and that was against one of the best defenses statistically in the nation. I know I was not Iowa. Practice. We talking about practice, man. But the Citrus Bowl does give me a little bit more fodder for my argument. It's not a censure, but it gives me some pretty strong fodder. Wouldn't you agree, Caleb?
very strong fodder. I mean, he made certain quick decisions. Now, again, I don't like to read too much into bowls, but like I want to point this out because I said this last year because it's funny. Nico's stats were nowhere near as good as Milton's stats in the Orange Bowl, but this is where people need to understand the flow of football and how things work out in football. If you watch that Orange Bowl, it was a lot more fast paced. Milton moved, so both teams moved it a lot more. So Milton put up more yards, but most of the drives in the Orange Bowl stalled. So his Orange Bowl MVP, I thought that was a very overrated game by him that people thought he played so well in. I think he converted on a couple of big throws and that was it, but he wasn't consistently moving the ball for Tennessee and closing the deal. Nico was again, had much fewer opportunities in Iowa. They play a 4-2-5. They make you work the field. If you know Iowa's defense, they make you work the field like 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards down the field the entire time waiting for you to make a mistake. And Nico patiently did that the whole time.
He did. And I thought there were probably 4 or 5 instances of uncertainty, which in real game time for your first start is very, very commendable.